wasn't harmless? What if a single, quiet question, one you barely admit to yourself, had the power to unravel everything you thought you understood about your life? They say curiosity killed the cat. For me, it didn't kill me, but it did change me forever. Before we begin, I want to say thank you for being here, for supporting this channel, and for trusting me with stories that live in the gray areas of human emotion. If you're drawn to stories that explore desire, regret, and the choices we never think we'll make, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There are many more stories like this coming. Now, let's step into this one together. I never believed I would be the kind of woman who questioned her marriage. I certainly never believed I would be the kind of woman who betrayed it. And yet, here I am, telling you a story that began with love, stability, and comfort, and slowly drifted toward temptation, secrecy, and a truth I wasn't prepared to face: that I was married to Ethan for over 10 years. If you had asked anyone to describe him, they would have used words like kind, dependable, steady. He was the sort of man people trusted instinctively. The kind who showed up when it mattered. The kind who worked hard, paid attention, remembered birthdays, and never forgot to ask how my day had been. He wasn't dramatic. He wasn't reckless. He wasn't mysterious. But he was good. And for a long time, that felt like enough. Our life together was predictable in the best possible way. Weeknight dinners. Weekend routines. Shared jokes that didn't need explaining anymore. We knew each other's rhythms so well that silence never felt uncomfortable. It felt earned. But somewhere along the way, something subtle shifted. It wasn't resentment. It wasn't anger. It was flatness. A quiet emotional plateau that crept in so slowly I didn't notice it until I was already standing on it, looking around, wondering when the view had stopped changing. The question arrived one ordinary evening. Ethan had gone to bed early, exhausted from work. I stayed up a little longer, scrolling mindlessly through my phone. The way people do when they're tired but not ready to sleep. That's when I saw it. An article headline, sandwiched between celebrity gossip and lifestyle tips. Does size really matter? I scoffed. Of course it was clickbait. Of course it was designed to provoke insecurity and curiosity. Of course I should have ignored it. But I didn't. I tapped the screen. As I read, I felt something stir, something uncomfortable and unfamiliar. The article wasn't crude. It was conversational. It spoke about intimacy, confidence, emotional connection, and physical compatibility. And then, without warning, my thoughts turned inward. To my marriage. To my experiences. To the parts of my life I had never really questioned before. Ethan and I had been together a long time. Our intimacy was consistent, familiar, reliable. But it had never been explosive. Never surprising. Never something that left me breathless long after it was over. He was average. In ways I had never considered important, until that moment. The article didn't accuse. It didn't shame. It simply asked questions. And one of those questions stayed with me. What if I had no idea what I was missing? I wasn't dissatisfied with Ethan. That's the part that made the guilt sharper. I loved him. I trusted him. I felt safe with him. But curiosity doesn't need dissatisfaction to grow. It feeds on uncertainty. The question followed me for weeks. In the quiet moments. In the shower. When Ethan kissed me goodnight and rolled over to sleep, I told myself to stop thinking about it. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself it was shallow, ridiculous, selfish. And yet, the question remained. What if size did matter? What if I had spent a decade believing something was enough simply because I didn't know there was more? I couldn't talk to Ethan about it. The idea felt cruel. How do you explain curiosity without sounding ungrateful? How do you ask questions that imply comparison without creating wounds? So I stayed silent. And silence gave curiosity room to breathe. One night, long after Ethan had fallen asleep, I picked up my phone again. This time, I wasn't scrolling aimlessly. I opened a search engine and typed questions I never imagined I would ask. Stories appeared. Forum. Anonymous confessions. Women shared experiences they never spoke about in real life. Some spoke of regret. Some spoke of awakening. Some spoke of discoveries that reshaped how they saw themselves. Many of them said the same thing. It wasn't just physical. It was emotional. It was psychological. Confidence. Presence. The feeling of being desired in a way that was raw and undeniable. Mix of emotions rising in me. Excitement tangled with guilt, curiosity sharpened by fear. I told myself I was only reading, only learning, only satisfying a harmless question. But curiosity, once fed, always asks for more. Eventually, reading wasn't enough. I convinced myself I needed data. Real experience. Real understanding. That's how I justified it, to myself at least. I created an anonymous profile on a discreet dating site. No photos. No real name. Just a carefully vague description of curiosity, exploration, and discretion. The moment I finished, my heart was racing. I told myself I could delete it at any time. Messages started arriving almost immediately. Some were crude. Some were desperate. Some were awkward. I ignored most of them. I wasn't looking for attention. I wasn't looking for romance. I was looking for an answer. And then, I found him. His name was Ryan. Early 30s. Confident without arrogance. His messages were playful but respectful, direct without being aggressive. He didn't dance around the topic I was curious about, but he never made me feel cheap for asking. There was something disarming about him. He lived about an hour away, in San Diego. He never rushed me, never pressured me. He simply talked, about life, about confidence, about understanding desire rather than fearing it. For the first time in years, I felt seen. Not as a wife, not as a role, but as a woman. And that terrified me. That I remember staring at my phone after one of our conversations ended, my heart pounding. This is insane, I told myself. This is not who you are. Kept replying. When Ryan suggested meeting, just coffee, just conversation, I didn't say yes right away. But I didn't say no either. I told myself it would be once. Just to see. Just to know. I had no idea that one decision, one quiet agreement, was about to split my life into before and after.